I'm going to show you how to make the felted gingerbread house from the kit that you purchased. And inside your kit, there are instructions, 3 felting needles. There's a spiral 36, which is the needle that you're going to use to do the core. Then you've got a medium-sized needle, which is pretty much an all-round needle, and a fine needle. And the fine needle is what you will use to put all the little details onto your gingerbread house. Inside your kit, you'll also find your core wool, which is what you build the base from, and it will look like that. You have some brown roving, some green roving, and some pink roving. Now in your instructions, it will explain to you all the tools that you need. So most of your tools you will find in your kit, except for a felting mat. So if you don't have a felting mat, you can use a sponge or a magic eraser for now. You've got your needles that you can use. A multi-tool is something that's also available, and you will see me use that quite often. It's a tool that has more than 2 or 3 needles. This particular one has 5, and it just makes the job a lot quicker. You don't need it, but it can come in handy sometimes. And let's start with the instructions. So I wrote that you can start making the basic shape of this house by taking some of your core wool and rolling it around your finger. So that's definitely one way of doing it. Just like that. So you just roll it around your finger just like that, nice and tight. Then you remove it, and you're left with a small rolled up sausage, whatever you want to call it, really. And that's an excellent way to start, because you almost already have the shape that you want, and it's quite firm because you rolled it tightly around your finger. So once you've done that, you're going to start with your 36 gauge spiral needle. And if you're not sure which one that is, although I have written it on the card, you can actually see that the needle that I'm referring to, the spiral 36 needle, actually has a spiral tip. So when you put it up and you turn it, you will actually see that the end of this needle is a spiral. So that's the giveaway, really. So if you're not sure, just check the end of your needle and you will notice which one is the spiral one. That's the most coarse needle of the 3, and that needle will very quickly build up your basic shape. So once you have your little roll, we're just going to poke it with that needle all the way around until it becomes firm. This can take a little while, so be patient. And this is also why a multi-tool can come in very handy, because it just goes that little bit quicker. I'll show you. Be careful with your fingers. So this house has 4 sides, so I literally just poke 4 sides. And as I do that, it already starts to become a rectangle. To make it shorter, I'll come in from the bottom and push up. Now you can just use your single needle. And you just keep poking and shaping. This one. Okay. Now if you want to make your house a little bit bigger, you just grab a little bit more of your core wool, pull it off, and wrap it around your shape like this. You're going to anchor it in. And you're just going to keep rolling. Now you want to make sure that you don't use all of your core wool, because some of it will be the icing and the snow. So you want to leave some to the side to do that. So you just keep going until you have that beautiful rectangle shape. And then once you have that, you're going to pinch the top of the house together. Just going to remove this to create the peak of the roof. So you just felt the top of that house together, which will create that triangle. Now be careful with your fingers, because it does hurt if you poke yourself. That's always better to add wool, layer it, start off with a little bit of wool rather than a big blob, because you can roll it much tighter and then you have to do a lot less needling. See, now this is starting to become square. So when I do the roof, I poke one side, turn it over to the other side, and then you can already see you're getting this triangle. Then I'll go to the front just to widen it a little bit. And to the back. To the sides again, the other side, to the front. So just evenly distribute that. Like distribute your where you poke evenly so that you don't get a flat piece, but a triangle in this case. Okay, so there's that. You might want to, I'm probably going to tip that over. This is going to be quite a small house actually. So I've made some others. They're all different sizes. This is going to be a little baby house. So I'm just going to come in from the top here. Just make this nice and straight. Beautiful. So once you're happy with that understructure and the shape of it, you can start wrapping it in the brown wool. And the way we do that is by just pulling off a little piece. So in your kit you will have a long piece of this colored wool, and you're going to want to pull a little bit off. So you're going to put your hands a fair distance apart and just very gently pull it. And then you can just simply wrap it around the little house, just like this. Now you can just poke this so it stays put, and then you just wrap it around. So that's the first row. So we'll just connect that. See, we just go all the way around. And then we'll put another little bit on. Just anchor it down. So you also want to add eaves on the side of the house. I will roll it around a satay skewer, but I will leave a little bit so I can felt it in better. I'll show you. Okay, now we do the other side, same way. Okay, that looks very rough right now. So you're going to have to take some time to make it all pretty. So you can straighten these lines. The more you felt it, the smaller it becomes, it shrinks. Okay, so that's really starting to look much more like a roof. If you want to add more wool, you can. And I think I'm going to try and add a little bit more wool and see if I can get the peak a little bit bigger. Just a little bit wider, perhaps. So if you place it over the little roll that you've just made, you can actually cover up the seam that you can see here. Just make it a little bit smoother. Okay, it doesn't really look like a gingerbread house yet, but it won't until you start putting the icing on it. That really sort of, what's the word? Yeah, I've just lost the word. Anyway, that's what's going to make it look like a gingerbread house. It's the icing. So we'll just start by putting it on the rooftop. And you grab a little bit of core wool, just pull it off, and you roll it in between your fingers, or the palm of your hand, like that. So all of that is in your instructions. So I'm just going to make a couple of these thin pieces. Okay, so I'm going to start on the roof. And you're just going to lay it right on the edge of the roof. You might want to use a finer needle. This is a medium one, so start with that. And just anchor it down onto the roof. So you start at the peak. And use your fine needle. Yeah, much better. Look at that. That looks way better already. You can guide this tiny little strip with the tip of your needle. You can guide it to where you want it to go. And so you just drag it and then you poke. Drag and poke. Drag and poke. There you go. You get a really sharp edge that way. If you have like an excess strip of this icing, you can just cut it off with some scissors. Ow, where did I put them? Here. Okay. Let's do the wreath. Let's take a little bit of green. And I would probably roll it in like a circle. Like that. Maybe half that. And then I go around the edges and anchor it right above the door. Just like that. I'm just going to poke in the middle so it kind of appears to be a donut shape. And then you can add the little berries on the top by taking the tiniest little amount of pink. It's probably too big. And then the last thing you're going to do is add the heart, and then on all four sides you're going to add the 3 dots, or whatever you want to add really. You don't have to add the heart if you don't want to. You can make it a circle. You can do whatever you want. There you go, a gingerbread house. Now if you want to hang it in your tree, you're going to have to put a little piece of string onto it. And you can just sew that on, it's very easy. And then you can hang it in your tree. There you go. That's how you make a gingerbread house.